how must Harry be feeling knowing that if this was any other media organisation in the world, literally recreating his mother's car crash and that moment at the funeral in 1997 where he had to walk behind the coffin and he said it destroyed his whole life, he would be out there with statements and with placards saying that they are the most responsible media organisation in the world. They're now his employer.
Oh, I mean, this is amazing. This is what Harry has called the defining trauma of his life, right? We know from the press release accompanying his forthcoming memoir that he is going to use the death of his mother as a launching off point to discuss the way in which his life unraveled to such a degree that he had no choice but to leave the royal family. Now, leaving the royal family meant peddling his wares on the open market. And I just don't think he had the foresight to realize that getting in bed with the streaming service who produces The Crown, one of the most popular shows in the world, was probably not the best idea.
No, indeed. And it really does feel like, Maureen, looking at your writing and the way that it's garnered so much attention as you have turned on Harry and Meghan for this hypocrisy over the past few months, that maybe, just maybe, everyone other than the very woke set in Hollywood and New York, stateside, is starting to wake up to how ridiculous this couple really is. Is that a fair reflection of what's going on in America?
You know, Dan, it is. I will say that in America, you know, the discomfort with Meghan and Harry and the sense that they're not quite straight shooters and that they sort of revel in this prolonged, endless victimhood, which really does not fly in America very well at all. And then, of course, there was Meghan's disastrous interview that she gave to The Cut. And, you know, that readership of The Cut is really, you know, largely self-identified woke feminist liberals. And the backlash online was instantaneous and it was vitriolic. So these two, I think, you know, they've backed themselves into quite the corner. The Hollywood crowd and the woke elite, like, they don't really have much to do with Harry and Meghan either, because as they have proved over and over, they cannot be trusted to keep a single conversation to themselves.
No, indeed. Weren't invited to the Obama birthday party, famously, and off a lot of Christmas card lists. What was it, Maureen, that made you decide that Meghan was a toddler in a tiara? I mean, were you a fan of her to begin with and your opinion changed?
When she initially came on the scene, I thought this was a real breath of fresh air for the royal family, and the way in which they so quickly welcomed her into the fold and fast-tracked her, it made it clear that they also saw what an asset she could be. And, you know, she very quickly just sort of squandered it. She was leveling. It was the Oprah interview, I think, that really did it for me. Her and Harry, you know, with Philip on his deathbed, lobbing all kinds of accusations. The racism one, the most devastating. And, you know, really having no sense of regard or respect for the Queen. And then when the Queen passes, you know, Meghan has this cover story in Variety, and suddenly she goes from saying, I might maybe make my way to forgiving the royals, to singing the late monarch's praises. And it all just feels fake and hypocritical and self-serving, and more people are seeing through it.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not going to forgive her in a hurry, if at all, especially when it comes to Prince William. Do you worry, Maureen, that it's going to be a case of diminishing returns for Harry and Meghan? I mean, I feel like we get almost like a spew of victimhood from this Awful Archetypes podcast every week, and it's actually attracting so much less attention. It's falling down the Spotify charts because the thing that always was so special for members of the royal family, they don't give away too much. You don't hear from them all that often. And all of a sudden, we're hearing from Harry and Meghan all the damn time.
Yeah, never complain, never explain for these
Mm.
two is something to be utterly disregarded, and they are definitely experiencing diminishing returns. They don't really have anything to offer in the way of content other than their own personal life histories. Harry seems stuck somewhat emotionally at an age where he was deeply traumatized and he has many grievances that he is yet to deal with. The memoir, we'll see if it has a long tail. I doubt it. I think it will be stripped for parts. And I think that they have turned off so many people. They have lost so much goodwill so quickly. I just don't see people shelling out their own money or giving their own time to listen to Megan drone on a
No.
misnamed podcast. It's not even archetypes. She's talking about stereotypes, but.